And last week we were talking about if your TV is spying on you, listening to you.
Yeah.
I've never had so many comments after the show as I did this
Oh.
last time. So we're going to continue that conversation with Miss Metaverse, Katie Aquino, later in the hour. Yes, your TV is actually listening to you, and we're going to get into that and a lot more in a little bit with Miss Metaverse. Right away, Jim and I, Mr. Jim,
Hello.
Mr. Producer Extraordinaire. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great with this weather we're having here.
Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, right here in the coldest spot in the universe, and we had a nice warm weekend.
Again, I keep telling everybody, if you want to get away from the snow, if you're tired of the icy roads and
Yeah.
all that other stuff, come to North Dakota.
You wouldn't believe it, the high of 70-something over the weekend.
Unbelievable again. So, yeah, it's absolutely fabulous. Got out a little bit. I should have brought in fact, maybe during break, have you ever looked at a drone up close and personal?
No.
I have my new drone in the car.
Oh, you're going to bring it in
I'll
and
bring
fly
it
it around
in.
the
Yeah,
studio?
everybody who's watching us on Blab and Meerkat, we'll show that off in a little bit. So.
What does it sound like? I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to start it up in here. This thing goes up about 7 or 8 feet before it takes off. You know, that automatically hovers there before you start flying it. So I suppose it could probably go airborne in here, but it would probably bang into a few things.
Be a little tight.
I am not that good of a pilot yet, so I would not be able to fly it well in here.
Yeah.
Little one. If it was a little one, it'd be okay, but this is a pretty good-sized craft.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the latest and greatest in technology that's been coming out. So you had a thing here that you just put on the table here, Jim, about...
There should be 2 copies of that. Hand me
I'll send you one here as well about Lyft and Uber.
Lyft with a Y.
Lyft
Thank
with
you.
a Y, that's right. Yeah, so looks like Dewey Beach, Delaware? Is that how it's
Dewey
pronounced?
Beach, Delaware. It's a beach resort community.
Okay. So other ride-sharing services will now fall under the same umbrella as taxis and limos with a $109 fee. So
they're going to have to pay the same fee, the medallion fee or whatever you call it, as do the taxi services.
Right. So, yeah, I guess I kind of get that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if it's the exact same type of thing for competition, I can see where it should be a level playing service across the field.
Well, they have a taxi service. I believe they also have a jitney service that the city runs.
Okay. And do they pay the $109 fee?
That I couldn't tell you.
That would be interesting to find out.
Yeah, we should call them.
Yeah, we should do that. Let's put them on the spot.
Get them on the blower.
So yeah, that'll be interesting. And I'm willing to bet that more and more of these things will start popping up as we move forward with these crowdsourcing, ride-sharing type of services. And it just, and I can see the taxi drivers and the taxi companies' point of view. If we are forced to pay this fee, these other services should as well. So either way, I mean, I either they get rid of the fee totally for all of them. It should be a level playing field. I feel the same way about taxes. Everybody should pay their whatever it is for taxes.
Yeah.
So if you're going to go use a service, and I mean, it's the same exact thing. It really is. So whether or not you agree with it, most of the time I don't. But yeah. So I think it should be there. And I think the only challenge that a company like Uber or Lyft have, and I think this is a big challenge for a lot of companies, is because the rates are different everywhere. Everybody talks about, that the software takes care of it or whatever, but you think about when you go buy something, if they ever put the internet tax rule into effect, the sales tax rule into effect, because some states have no sales tax. Some states like North Dakota have 6% or a 5% sales tax. And then you get into the communities. Bismarck has a different sales tax than Mandan here, for example. And Washington, D.C. has a different sales tax than we do here, So you get into that a little bit, and it becomes very cumbersome for a small business owner who's trying to do business on the internet to try to pay all these fees all over across the country,
Yeah.
So you become a tax collector, and you almost have to join a service that will divide the monies out equally across all entities.
Well, since we're talking about Delaware, it's one of those states where they have no sales tax at all.
Okay.
Statewide.
Okay.
None of the cities, and that can make things kind of tricky when you're starting to talk about paying for certain things.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
And of course, as a state, I mean, everybody has their own philosophy as to how to garner revenues for the state.
Yeah.
And it would be interesting to see what Delaware does differently than other states do.
Mainly it's income and the property taxes.
Okay.
People are always griping there about the property taxes.
Sure. So it's just different philosophies on how
Yeah.
to do that. So yeah. So Uber and Lyft and all those other companies, I think, are going to be, and this may be the coming of age where if they are getting this type of fee assessed to them, I don't think it's going to be long before many companies that are online are going to be forced to do the same thing. Play fair with the retailers that are. If I'm in Mandan, North Dakota, selling something to I guess Delaware is a great example, but any state that has a sales tax.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand the fair play there. I just don't want to be encumbered with how do I pay them.
Right.
I don't mind collecting the money. I just need a way that I'm not writing a check or whatever to 1,400 different entities at the end of every quarter because I owe somebody in Washington, D.C. 13 cents. You know what I mean? So that's, I think, the challenge that I think we have with that.
I have a different question, too. Okay. Tell us, we don't talk about Lyft very much.
Yeah.
How is it? Is it significantly different from Uber?
No, not really.
Is it like Coke and Pepsi?
Yeah, I would say that. I find that when I've talked to Lyft drivers prefer Lyft. I mean, drivers prefer Lyft over Uber because Lyft pays them more.
Oh.
Lyft doesn't take as much of a percentage of the fee that's charged, so Lyft actually pays their drivers a little bit more. So you tend to get nicer cars and maybe better drivers because you're getting a higher quality person. That's probably the best scenario I can give you between Lyft and Uber. That doesn't mean, though.
Well, I would prefer Lyft too, then probably.
Probably,
I wouldn't mind paying a little. I was going to say I wouldn't mind paying a little more if I'm getting a safer. I'm getting a better quality, a better class of driver.
Sure. The thing that will surprise you here, though, is that it's the same price.
Oh, it is the same price.
It's just that Lyft doesn't take as much of a percentage of the transaction that Uber does. They take just a little bit less, give their driver a little bit more is their philosophy with that. With that said, though, I've never had a bad experience with Uber either. I mean, both of them have been fantastic.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of a lot of times I'll get things on my phone saying, hey, I got $50 of credit with Lyft. And Las Vegas was a great example. We had that scenario where we had some, last time we were there, we had some credits because of CES, and they were wanting people to try it out. So,
right.
So, yeah. So, anyway, we're up to our break, man.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, all right. So, after the break, we will continue this. And, by the way, your guru of geek had his credit cards stolen.
Uh-oh.
So, we'll talk a little bit about how you can prevent this from happening after the break.
Absolutely.
Right now, 52.
Super Talk 1270, home of the Bismarck Bobcats and high school sports. Listen online or anywhere on the Radio Pub app. Super Talk 1270.
Follow the Guru of Geek at Facebook.com/The Tech Ranch or Twitter at Guru of Geek or TheTechRanch.com. Here again is your Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson.
And we want to thank all the listeners across the country and around the world who follow us on the Blueberry Network. We're also on the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. We are on the Roku, on iTunes, on TuneIn, and we're also streaming today on blab.im and on Meerkat. So if you want to jump into any of those mediums, you can actually see what's going on in the station and catch us on the breaks.
And we have pie.
And we have pie.
Why do we have pie today?
It is National Pie Day today.
Oh.
Jim. I bet you did. Did you know that?
Oh, because of 314.
Very good.
Thank you.
And pie is actually PI, National Pie Day.
Pie are square, and we have square pie here.
We do.
Well, they're turnovers.
Handheld pies is what you want to call it, sure. So, do you know whose birthday it is today as well?
My brother.
Well, happy birthday to your brother.
Bill.
Yeah.
Dr. William G. Walsh.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Well, he's working on his PhD.
Think about who else might be today.
Tom Cruise.
Oh, my goodness. I didn't know that either.
Yes, Tom Cruise's birthday is the same as my brother's. Who else?
Albert Einstein.
Albert Einstein.
So it kind of falls into
Mr.
place.
President.
Yes.
A moment, please.
So, yeah, we were just talking about a little bit about, right before the break, that my credit card was stolen.
Oh, no.
And didn't know it, actually, until this morning.
This happened in the last week?
Well, okay, so we actually use PayPal, so it's a debit card.
Okay.
And this morning we had some charges on there from Las Vegas. Now, we were there, 2 months ago or so?
Right. Yeah,
Okay.
it's been a while back
Yeah,
now.
It's a couple months ago. And we think what's gone on is okay, so I'm going to back up a little bit here. As we were talking to PayPal this morning, they were actually talking about generally if your card is stolen that they don't normally use it right away. They'll wait a month or two, especially if you're traveling or
okay.
whatever, just to kind of throw you off a little bit. So, of course, we see a couple charges to Walmart in Las Vegas this morning and a gas station that was there. So, and one of them was a debit card or a debit ID. They had stolen our actual 4-digit PIN
Yeah.
off there. So how in the world did they do that, right? So you start thinking about this, and there are little credit card or devices that people can get that they can put over like the slot that you put your card in at the ATM or at the gas station or whatever, right? And you've probably noticed now that a lot of the ATMs do these kind of funky little things around where you put your card in to prevent that from going on. That's what's going on.
Okay.
I was at a gas station when we were leaving town, and and it was like early morning.
Yeah.
And they were closed. But, of course, you can put gas in if you have a debit or a credit card. So I put it in there, and I actually looked at that, and I'm like, boy, that's kind of a big reader for a credit card device. And I actually, as I'm thinking about this now, I actually had thought that, boy, I wonder if this is totally legit. But you're in a hurry, and you really don't, you're just
that's what they're
taking care
counting
of it.
on.
Right. And the thing is that because it's a slide through, the transaction goes through too. So I mean, it just slides through, grabs your information off the magnetic strip, and then goes through to the regular thing, and then you put in your information for your credit card or for your transaction for gas or whatever you're buying, right? And then when it pops it back out, so
that way you get your gas and you think, well, everything must be okay.
Everything must be okay. Yeah. Well, all it's done is just basically read your credit card. And then I would imagine, because they bought stuff yesterday at Walmart. Mm-hmm. So they have taken the information off of the debit card and created a whole new card.
That happened to my father one time, and for the life of me, to this day, we don't know how it happened.
That's probably how it happened.
Yeah.
These have actually been around for a while, but they're getting smaller and smaller and smaller. They actually make them so they're trying to make them so they look like they're part of the machine that you're putting your card into. So I actually had that gut reaction when I was doing this, and now here it is 2 months later, and I'm like kicking myself now because I'm like, I knew better. I just knew that there was something amiss about it.
You had a weird feeling.
I
did. Had a
I really
feeling
did
about it. Yeah.
And so there you go. It just
what do you do if you when in doubt? You just drive to another gas station.
Yeah, I suppose you could do that. One of the things might be that if you really are unsure and you don't want people using the ability to get cash out of your account, that you could change your debit or your PIN right away.
Yeah.
So if you're using it, because at that transaction there, I actually used my PIN to make the transaction. So if you're doing that, then you could just hop onto when you get home or something, change your PIN right away. So then they can't access ATMs and things like that. Mm-hmm. They could still use the credit card part of it, but those type of things you're protected from. I'm not so sure about when they use a PIN. Even the person I was talking to with PayPal this morning was unsure because they had actually accessed our PIN number and made the transaction. So it'll be interesting to see how that is. That was just a $26 thing. There was one for a couple $100, and that was the other thing that was interesting. It was $200 at Walmart, $110 at Walmart. How do you get even numbers like that?
I don't know.
So I thought that was interesting too. So anyway, just if you have a bad feeling when you're using if you're at a cash machine grabbing cash, if you're buying gasoline or whatever, and that device that you're putting your credit card or your debit card through just maybe doesn't look like it should, I would probably go with my gut and not, complete the transaction. Maybe just, if you're at a good example of this might be, if you're at a gas station, there's probably 6 or 8 or 10 pumps sitting there, right?
Right.
I would probably investigate even the other pumps to see if that credit card slider is the same, because most people probably aren't going to have 8 or 10 of these. They might just only have one that they're putting over the top. I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing that out there. But anyway, just kind of wanted to start off with and let everybody know that even I, your guru of geek,
the guru of geek,
gets these type of things that happen to him
Yeah.
occasionally. So, home appliances. I found this interesting this morning. Have you ever wondered why the dry machine isn't the same as the washing machine? Why you couldn't have just one machine that washes your clothes and dries them at the same time?
Well, I thought they had that such machines do exist. Don't
They do, but they're ventless machines,
Okay.
meaning that it takes forever for the clothes to dry.
Oh.
Okay. So now a new company has actually come, Marathon Laundry Machine, has actually come out with a machine now that's an all-in-one that you can buy that will wash your clothes and launder them. And it's also, of course, connected.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it be connected? So it could tell you
Sure.
to your smartphone, hey, your clothes are done. They're dry.
Yeah.
You can go get them.
Because otherwise, you'll do what everybody will do. What I do, which is throw them in there and then go get them a day later, and they're all wrinkly.
That's right. Exactly right. So I think that's pretty clever. So if you want to check that out, the Marathon laundry machine, I guess they call it.
If you ever want to see the look of murder in my wife's eyes, that's what you do: is wait till laundry day. Put some clothes in the laundry. Okay. Next day, I gotta get the stuff out of the laundry. I'll kill you.
Yeah, I've been relegated to not do the laundry either because of that, Jim.
Yeah.
So I get that. Probably the other big thing too that you're starting to see a lot of is, and I think this is going to be a very big deal. Are you familiar with 360-degree cameras?
Oh yes,
So they actually take
like a cyclorama type camera.
Yeah, and it actually takes the whole thing at one time. So, for example, if you were going down a roller, help me out, a roller park.
roller coaster.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Couldn't get roller skating out of my mind there.
Oh, okay.
But on a roller coaster, for example, you could mount the camera like on the front, and you could actually video the actual roller coaster ride and yourself as you're screaming through this at the same time. And then when you view it back, you can have whatever view you want of the entire thing. So these things are becoming a little more commonplace now.
Yeah.
So, an example might be if you're having a birthday party or sometime a family gathering, right? You could just put the camera in the middle of the room and forget it.
Yeah.
You just turn it on, and it records everything that's going on in the room at the same time.
Now these you see these 360 cam websites.
Okay.
Like there's one of Paris where
Right.
you can look at Paris.
Right.
Is that how that works? Because I would think if a bunch of people are looking at the same time, you couldn't have just one camera because, you could only one person could control the camera at the time.
Right. Generally speaking, those type of things are just one camera that's a fixed lens that will turn.
Yeah.
There's a motor on it that actually will turn
Okay.
the camera. I would imagine, I don't know for sure. It's possible that they've incorporated this technology, but I would highly doubt it at this time
Okay.
that particular one is that way. I've run into those as well, and you just run the motor and you say, I want to look this way or whatever, and it
Yeah.
will allow you to do that. So
I've seen
yeah,
some
absolutely.
great pictures done, though, with those 360 cameras.
They are amazing, actually, and I think they're only going to get better. Now, one
Yeah.
company called Movi, M-O-V-I, is using it as a live event camera. So like what you were talking
Yeah.
about, this is the first one of its kind. And right out of it's a pocket device that will let you edit while you film as well. So you can actually use the Movi live event camera to stream. We'll have to try that sometime here. I'll get a movie in
Absolutely.
here sometime. We'll stream 360, and that way people can actually watch and check it out.
Yeah, you can
So-
see me, you can see you,
That's
you can
right.
see the
That's
window.
right. I don't have to mess around with changing settings and all that good
Yeah.
stuff all the time. So yeah,
See the backs of our heads?
Yeah, well, they see that already. So
Oh, well, yeah.
for both of us, it's blinding to the viewer. So. All right, everybody. After the break, Miss Metaverse, Katie Aquino, will be joining us, and we will be talking about the TV that is spying on you, and you want to stay tuned for this information. So
And
come on
old
back.
Soviet Union television watches you.
Right now, 52.
Here's Sean Hannity, weekday afternoons on Super Talk 1270.
We're back to the Tech Ranch. Stream this program now at supertalk1270.com. Here is your guru of geek, Marlo Anderson.
And joining us from a short hiatus from the show, Miss Metaverse, Katie Aquino. Katie, how are you?
I'm doing well, Marla. How you doing?
Doing fine, too. Welcome back.
Oh, thank you. It feels good to be back.
You and I have crazy schedules sometimes, and to get us together for every Monday morning is a little difficult.
It is, especially when you lose an hour like last night.
Yeah.
It is. We were talking. It is National Pie Day, and it is PI as far as the pie goes. Because March 14th here. However, it's also National Napping Day, and I'm thinking that's
Napping?
Yes. Trending as well today. So National Pie Day trending number 1, National Napping Day trending number 3 right now. So just saying. I have a feeling later on that the National Napping Day is going to overtake Pie Day.
Well, we have a lot of rain here, so National Napping Day sounds definitely pretty favorable for me.
Sure, absolutely. So anyway, we've been talking a lot about devices that are actually listening to us, and we had quite a conversation last week with Mr. Scott Wild and Dr. Carl Sovak out at the University of Mary, and had a lot of response to the show afterwards. So I thought we should investigate this a little bit farther and visit with you a little bit about this as well. So are you familiar with the Samsung TV and its ability to listen to you?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay. So, and just to bring everybody, go ahead and just tell everybody, just bring everybody up to speed with what's going on there.
Okay, so there's been a lot of talk about different devices that could be listened to in your homes, and that's our topic for today, but it kind of seems like the smart TVs are something that's overlooked, and there's not just talk about Samsung smart TVs. That's the most popular one, but there's even talk about some LG televisions.
Sure.
But what's going on is that these smart TVs, they come, they're your brand new flat screen TVs. They're exciting because they have a lot of different apps you can use. But another thing, too, is they come built in with a camera, which is like a webcam.
Okay.
So you can Skype through it and everything like that.
Sure.
But, there's people that are proving that you can hack into it.
So, and it's not just the listening capability, it's the actual ability to maybe even view things that are going on in your home, because people have that, like you said, people can hack into it or whatever. But, so going back to Samsung's side for a second, they claim that if you look at the EULA, in fact, I will even read this. Let's see. Samsung's surely misnamed privacy policy. And I don't mean to pick on Samsung. This is probably true for almost every television that's out there. But it says that please be aware that if your spoken, this is in their privacy policy, please be aware that if your spoken words include personal or other sensitive information, that information will be among the data captured and transmitted to a third party through your use of voice recognition. That is in their EULA, their end user licensing agreement, buried in 48 pages of stuff. So
wow.
Are you comfortable with the fact that your television can listen to you when you say, hon, the password for my Facebook account is, and you think you're in the privacy of your home and you can say that? Well, in fact, your TV is listening to you while you say that.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It goes even beyond that because, all right, for instance, right, hackers demonstrated that they can hack a couple models of Samsung TVs, and they can use them to capture data from networks that are attached to it, or even watch what the cameras are showing through it, so you're able to see and hear what's going on in the home. But not only that, you also have to throw in the fact that these are connected to the web, right?
Right.
So your internet service provider, right, could easily put together a list of all the internet sites that you visited from just being on the web, which is a separate topic. But let's say you cruise the web on your smart TV, they'll be able to see everything that's on there. And if someone hacks into your smart TV, a hacker could see what you're using, or like you said, Marla, if you're using Facebook as an app on your smart TV, that's all out in the open. So it's very scary for sure.
It is. And I think, and I understand us going to this, and I actually love voice recognition technologies. I do. I mean, I love being able to, speak to my phone and say, okay, Google, find me the distance to, New York from Mandan, North Dakota, for example, or whatever that is, and within seconds you get this information. It's wonderful. But in order for that to happen, even your phone, your devices have to be listening to you. And I'm a little more comfortable with my devices and my computer listening to me than my television, because I know that I have personally installed security things on my phone to encrypt this stuff. I don't think that, people who are putting together the stuff for televisions and for your refrigerator and light bulbs and all this stuff, there is really no security built into these devices because they just don't think it's a threat.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where the challenge is how do you build security? How do you encrypt this data? And on top of it, even if you're encrypting the data so hackers can't get into it, it's still, as Samsung is stating here, it's going to a third party. They're not even divulging who the third party is. So,
right.
I mean, are you comfortable with that? And what happens if they get hacked or whatever, which is proven over and over and over again that these companies who store this information are the ones that are more vulnerable or more susceptible to getting, hacked. So, I mean, you just go back to Snapchat just less than a year ago and, that whole scenario there. So I don't know. It's very unsettling, actually.
It really is. I mean, listen, I know that being a futurist, you're always talking about very far out there things. You're talking about the far future. You're talking about what could happen, the extremes and, the scenarios that might have the smallest chances. And one of the discussions I read the other day online was about the possibility of overcoming all this controversy with being able to get in, hack into somebody's phone and watch another person. And what if in the future we turn into this like panopticon where everyone's watching each other and there's just no privacy, but there's also no fear over it also at the same time. It was a very weird thing to think about. I mean, just imagine if when you're watching somebody, then you could watch them back too. It's almost like a give and take.
Sure.
So there's a lot of different ways that we might evolve with this in the future. I mean, we're getting to a place where it seems like either we're going to have to figure out some real big security solutions, or we're just going to end up going in this complete other direction where, people are just saying, okay, we don't care. Come and watch me. I'll watch you too. And if we go completely open in that way, I just wonder how it would affect all of our lives. I mean, would it make things better, or would people just not care anymore? Those are very weird things to think about,
It is interesting, and I would be willing to bet that the older a person is, the more they value their privacy. You know what I mean? I would say that if you were to visit with millennials right now, and this doesn't mean anything, millennials are just more open to technology. I see this like when I visit with people about autonomous vehicles as well. I mean, most of the millennials would be happy to hop into a car and say, hey, take me to the nearest coffee shop, and the car would drive them. You talk to somebody that's 40 plus, and they're like, it seems like the older the person is, the less they like that idea. They don't want to give up that control. Well, I think the same would be true with privacy rights. And, you come up in a world where it seems like everything you do is on video or whatever. You probably don't concern yourself as much with it. But still, I just feel like your home is kind of your sanctuary, and the ability for anybody to hop in to your home and monitor what's going on, it to me is just very, very frightening.
It's like 1984. It's all I could think about. All right, everyone, get up. It's time for the early morning exercises.
Yeah.
I mean, that is totally not happening. I mean, I'm just saying that I agree with you, Marlo. I foresee some kind of structure or thing that we build around our homes that you could have select areas or rooms where there's just no technology. I could see it going to that place where there's actual designated no technology zones. I mean, it gets very overwhelming, and I think that people do deserve their privacy as well at home. We have to, as people, as humans, we have to humanize technology as well and consider that.
Right. And it is interesting that you and I are talking about this, because of all the people I know, you and I are probably the most earliest of integrators when it comes to technology. So I'm not excited to be about an early integrator in this technology.
No.
So,
no,
all right.
It's definitely, it's disheartening,
yeah.
Really. I mean, but I think that hackers have to be responsible as well. I think that it's tough. Like, who are the hackers? Who are the ones doing these things? We have to figure out, why do you care? Why do you want to go watch this person through their webcam? Or, it's just, there has to be privacy. There has to be respect. Or, like, on the other hand, it might just go that other way where it's like, okay, you're going to see me, but I'm going to see you too.
Right.
It's very weird to think about.
All right, we'll continue this discussion after the break.
Right now, 57.
Dave Ramsey is heard here. Super Talk 1270.
Follow the Guru of Geek everywhere he goes. Post your comments or questions at thetechranch.com. Once again, your Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson.
And we are talking about things that listen to you in your home.
North Korea has a submarine missing.
Yeah, so why don't you bring us up to date on that, Jim?
We just know that it was a report from the United States government. I guess the State Department issued a statement. The North Korea has reported that one of their submarines is missing. I don't know the source of this quote, but it's an actual quote. It says, "I guess it just sank," unquote. You know, on the one hand, you have to feel bad for guys who are doing their job, serving their country.
Yes.
On the other hand, it's North Korea.
Yeah. That's interesting, though, because if they're stating that, I mean, it could be lost. It could be. There's all kinds of scenarios that are. With this,
really.
I
mean, we've lost submarines.
We have lost
over the years.
submarines, you know. So you
We've
never
lost
know.
several, yeah.
I mean, do we have a whole crew that's defecting, and they can't find the sub?
Hunt for Red October.
Yes, exactly. So interesting, very interesting.
Do they have Sean Connery as their captain?
That would be fantastic.
Sean Connery, we are going to America and listen to their rock and roll.
So, of course, Miss Metaverse Katie Aquino is joining us as well, and we are having a conversation on what is listening to us in our homes. We've all decided that maybe having your TV listen to us is probably not a good thing. Jim, what is your take on this, by the way?
I do get nervous at the idea that anybody out there is listening to anything I have to say, because I talk to myself a lot. Seriously. When I'm home, when I'm making notes, look, I'm a radio guy.
Sure.
And when I prepare my show, I do a lot of stuff out loud.
Okay.
And then I kind of get going and I start talking out loud about things that I might talk about on the radio.
Gotcha.
And then sometimes I forget to shut up and I start talking about personal things. And I'm doing this, that, the other, and I got to call about that check I bounced, blah, 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 or whatever.
Interesting.
And it does make me a little nervous that, it's the old, who's the Russian comedian, Yakov?
Smirnoff.
Smirnoff,
yes.
yeah. And all the Soviet Union television watches you.
Yes.
I'm thinking, is television watching me?
It actually is. It's kind of scary. So, Katie, we've been talking about this a little bit. What other devices maybe are in our home that might be spying on us?
Well, one thing is the cameras are at-home security cameras, and this seems the most logical in this type of context, but they are secure. But then again, how secure are they? You know, when you have cameras like, for instance, drop cams, right? Now they're called Nest cams because Nest bought them.
Okay.
I have Nest cams at my house. And the way they work is you could buy the actual cameras themselves for $199. You can pick them up from Home Depot or any place like that. And then they have a recording plan. So you can either have it live stream, and then you can access the live stream of the camera through your app, which is the Nest app, or you could also go online and access it. But the issue is that it's just live streaming unless you're paying for the recording service, and you could pay. I think it's like $60 or something for it to record. It might be a little bit more than that actually. For it to record up to 7 days of 24/7 streaming. And then that's on the cloud, and then it's gone. You can't access it. Then there's another plan where it's about $200 for the year, and this is for the year. I apologize. It's like $60-ish for the 7 days, and then for 30 days for the year, it's about $200. Now, the thing about that is that I had an issue where I had concerns, and I wanted to be able to access that information after it was in that grace period, the period where it records,
right.
And they wouldn't release that to me for my own records. So it's good to know that they don't keep it.
Right. Interesting. I know with security cameras, a lot of people don't realize that the camera itself has an IP address and has a username and password. And a lot of people, when they install them, especially if they're only putting one in their house or their business, they don't change it. So people know what the default IP is of your camera. So you could go in there, and if you've never changed anything before, I mean, there are actually websites that are dedicated to watching streams from other people's security cams and stuff, because these people just don't take the time to change the IP address, that's the default address, and the username and password that's default with that camera. So you're absolutely right. And I think there was one instance with a baby monitor that people were breaking into these baby monitors, and they finally decided to do something a little bit different about the security on them. But it was interesting that, and I think scary to parents, that anybody could be watching their newborns.
Absolutely. The whole baby monitor thing is definitely freaky, and you hear about it a lot. I mean, everything from the Motorola ones to, I forget the other name. There was definitely another one. And just go on the news and Google it. You'll be able to see references in news stories, real people who had to deal with the negative consequences of hacking baby monitors. Yeah, it is definitely really freaky to think about. And even cameras. Think about like those SLR cameras, like the Canon 60D. I have a Canon 60D. But I'm not sure if the Canon 60D, the one I have, I just got it kind of recently. They have, now these new cameras are coming out with, Wi-Fi.
Right.
So if you have Wi-Fi in the camera, that's just another thing that, could be a possible threat.
I never thought about that because I have a new Panasonic as well, their new 4K that I was using for filming at CES, and everybody was oohing and on over the fact that it has built-in Wi-Fi. And you can actually tether that wirelessly to like your smart device, so like your iPhone or your Android, and actually have another stream come in from a camera into that camera, so you can have like a 2-in-1 shot, which is really, really cool. But yeah, I would imagine, because there's really no thought about security on it, and I've never changed the username and password on it. Why would I? Until you brought this up.
It's true.
So
yeah,
you're right. If I had the camera,
definitely.
Yeah. So I guess the first thing that I would probably recommend to people is, if you're buying these type of devices and they come with any type of connectivity at all, change the username and password. Don't use the standard default thing, because people will have access to it because they know right out of the box that's what this is. I can't tell you how many routers I've gone into work on in businesses and that type of thing, and they've installed them, and I'm like, do you know your username and password? No. So then I type in the default for that particular brand, and that's what it is. And I could sit outside and access that coffee shop or that doctor's office or whatever. So this is scary in itself, that people don't take the time and understand this. And now all of a sudden you have ability to monitor audio and video in your home or office as well. So take the time and learn how to change those passwords.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And another thing, too, before we go, toys, kids' toys. That's another one that has been talked about a lot lately.
Now, I haven't heard this. Bring us up to speed.
So there was a Barbie. Did you hear about the Barbie?
No.
It was a Barbie doll that you could talk to, and it records. It's called Hello Barbie. That was it.
Okay.
And I think it came out maybe like a year ago or so. I don't really remember exactly off the top of my head, but it actually, there's people talking about it, because Hello Barbie, it sends, when your child talks to the Barbie doll, that information is recorded, and it's actually being sent back to Mattel, and they're able to take that information and use it for marketing and things like that. But, me being a mom, I couldn't imagine giving my daughter, a toy that I know is that she's confiding in and is being recorded. That's absurd.
That is crazy. So what about like game machines like Xbox and things? Are they listening to us as well?
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's way, way more likely than, maybe just regular kids' toys. I know that people are using Xbox and things like that to be spied on, and I've heard a lot about that, especially with, was it the Kinect too?
Yep. Interesting. So I guess everybody, we're moving into a new realm in technology and things you just need to be aware of. Just know that if you're buying a refrigerator that's connected, there's probably a way for it to be hacked and maybe not even be hacked, but there are ways that people will be able to spy on you through these devices. So I guess this is a consumer beware type of situation, isn't it, Jim?
Let the buyer beware.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't know, because I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I think it's
Yeah.
going to get worse, actually. I don't see any reason why, these TVs. See, they want to gather information from us because they want to know how to market to us.
Well, yeah.
That's what they're after. And that
I mean, it's
seems
kind of a step
simplistic
beyond
enough.
what they're already doing online.
Right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So I understand that. The business side of me understands that, but the personal side just can't get past the fact that
Yeah.
my TV is now listening to me at home. Really can't get past it.
Yeah.
So, all right, Mr. Jim.
Scary stuff.
Pleasure as always. Miss
Likewise.
Metaverse, Katie. Pleasure as always as well. So have a great week, Katie. Are you there? She's
I
gone
guess not.
already. I guess so. Well, Jim.
Well, I guess she fixed your wagon.
She did. She's gone already. Jim, have a great week. Brian,
too.
thanks for joining us on Blab, and we'll see you again next week, everybody.
Later.
ABC News, Super Talk 1270. Accurate news, stimulating talk. This is KLXX AM, Mandan, Bismarck.